She entered the wrong break room and froze when the janitor turned out to be the CEO testing the staff. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's story. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you thought you were doing one thing, only to discover that you were part of something much bigger than you imagined? That's exactly what happened to Sarah, a new employee at a big tech company, one crisp autumn morning. She had just started working at a well-known corporation, a place filled with the promise of success and opportunity. Sarah was nervous, not just because she was new, but because she felt like a fish out of water. The office was buzzing with energy, everyone seemed so confident, and she was just trying to get by without drawing too much attention. On that particular morning, after spending hours on a project that wasn't going anywhere, she decided to take a break. She was exhausted and needed a moment to clear her mind. With a cup of coffee in hand, Sarah walked down the hallway and saw an open door to what she thought was the break room. She stepped inside, eager for a quiet place to relax. The room was empty except for one person, a man in a faded uniform, hunched over and mopping the floor. His back was to her, but the sound of the mop scraping against the tile floor was the only noise in the otherwise silent room. She glanced at him briefly before walking over to one of the chairs. "Hey, are you Kevin?" Sarah asked, her voice a bit shaky. She had assumed this was the break room, and Kevin, her colleague, had said he would be there. The man turned around slowly, blinking as if he hadn't expected anyone. No," he replied, his voice low but calm. "I'm not Kevin." There was a slight pause, and Sarah's heart skipped a beat as she suddenly realized that she had made a mistake. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I must have walked into the wrong room." She stood up quickly, embarrassed, but the man simply smiled at her and nodded. "It happens," he said. Sarah was about to apologize again when she noticed the man's eyes. There was something about the way he looked at her that made her feel as if she wasn't just another random person to him. "Don't worry about it," he added, his smile warm. "Blind dates, wrong rooms, it's all part of the fun, right?" She laughed awkwardly, trying to brush off the mistake. As she reached for the door, she caught a glimpse of his name tag, which read Liam Parker. It was a name she had seen before, but she didn't think much of it. She quickly walked out of the room, embarrassed, but also strangely intrigued. Later that day, during a meeting, Sarah was stunned when the very same man, Liam, walked in. He wasn't in a janitor's uniform anymore. Instead, he was dressed in a sharp suit, exuding confidence and authority. To her shock, he wasn't just a janitor. Liam Parker was the CEO of the company. She had accidentally walked into the break room, only to unknowingly meet the man who had been testing the staff's ability to handle unexpected situations. Sarah's stomach twisted as she realized the truth. Was this part of some strange test? And why had he never corrected her when she had mistaken him for a janitor? As the meeting progressed, she could feel the weight of the situation. He was the one who had been observing her and her colleagues, testing their reactions. And now, she was left to wonder, what would happen next? Would she be punished for her mistake, or would this strange encounter lead to something more? The next day, Sarah couldn't shake the memory of the encounter in the break room. She kept replaying it in her mind, wondering if she had made a complete fool of herself or if she had just been part of some strange, elaborate test. The way Liam had smiled at her, as if he wasn't bothered by the mix-up, kept lingering in her thoughts. She tried to focus on her work, but it was difficult to concentrate when she was so distracted. She knew she had to get over it. After all, it was just a mistake, and there was no reason for her to keep dwelling on it. But something about Liam's calm demeanor and that sharp, confident look in his eyes made her wonder if there was more to the story. That afternoon, her curiosity got the better of her. Sarah found herself standing in front of the elevator, hesitating before pressing the button to go up to the CEO's floor. What was she thinking? She didn't belong there. But she had to know more. She had to understand why Liam had acted the way he did. When the elevator doors opened, she stepped inside, heart racing. She wasn't sure if she was making a huge mistake or if this was exactly what she needed to do. As the elevator ascended, her mind raced with questions. Why had he allowed her to mistake him for the janitor? Was he testing her? Was this some kind of corporate game that she wasn't prepared for? The doors opened, and she stepped out into the sleek, modern hallway of the CEO's floor. The glass walls and polished floors made it look like a different world, a world where Sarah felt completely out of place. She took a deep breath and walked toward Liam's office, her nerves making her hands shake slightly. When she reached the door, she paused. She wasn't sure if she was making the right choice, but something inside her told her she needed to do this. She knocked. A voice from inside called, "Come in." Sarah turned the handle and stepped inside. Liam was sitting at his desk, his back to her as he looked over some papers. When he heard the door open, he turned around, a smile spreading across his face when he saw her. "Sarah," he said, his tone warm and welcoming. "What brings you up here?" She hesitated for a moment, her mind scrambling for the right words. I just wanted to talk," she said finally, her voice steady but unsure. Liam nodded, motioning for her to take a seat. "Of course. What's on your mind?" Sarah sat down across from him, her hands folded tightly in her lap. "I've been thinking about yesterday," she started. "About what happened in the break room. And I just wanted to understand. Why didn't you correct me when I mistook you for the janitor?" Liam's smile faded, and he leaned back in his chair, looking at her thoughtfully. "I suppose I should have," he said after a moment. "But I wanted to see how you would react in an unexpected situation, how you handle the moment of confusion. It tells me a lot about someone's character." Sarah felt a wave of realization wash over her. This wasn't just about her mistake. This was about how she responded to the challenge, how she handled the pressure, even when things didn't go as planned. "So, this was a test?" she asked, her voice a little shakier than she meant it to be. Liam nodded. "In a way, yes. But it wasn't about tricking you. It was about understanding how you think, how you handle mistakes, and how you can adapt to the unexpected. That's something I value in my team. Resilience, adaptability, and the ability to remain composed when things don't go as planned." Sarah felt a mix of emotions flood through her: surprise, frustration, and even a little admiration. Liam wasn't just the CEO. He was someone who genuinely valued qualities she hadn't expected. "I didn't realize that's what you were doing," she said softly. "I just thought I had embarrassed myself." Liam leaned forward slightly, his eyes focused on her. "You didn't embarrass yourself, Sarah. You handled it with grace. And that's what matters. The ability to keep your composure, even in the face of something unexpected, says a lot about your character. That's why I wanted to have this conversation with you." Sarah wasn't sure what to say next. The tension in the room had lifted, and she felt strangely relieved, even though she wasn't entirely sure where things were heading. She'd come here for answers, but now she was more confused than ever. "So what happens now?" she asked. Liam smiled again, a genuine smile this time. "Now, we move forward. We both learned something, I think. And I want to give you the opportunity to show your abilities in a new project I'm working on. It's a big one, and I think you could be a valuable part of it." Sarah blinked, surprised by the sudden shift. "A project? But I'm just new here. I barely know anything." Liam's smile remained unchanged. "You'll learn, and you'll have support. But I believe in giving people opportunities. And I believe in your potential." The room seemed to go silent for a moment as Sarah took in his words. She didn't know what to make of it, but she couldn't deny that she felt a spark of hope. Maybe this strange, unexpected encounter in the break room was the start of something bigger, something that could change everything for her. And maybe, just maybe, she was ready to take that leap. Over the next few weeks, Sarah found herself immersed in the new project Liam had assigned her to. She was working alongside a small team, tackling new challenges every day, and slowly, her confidence began to grow. The tension from the break room incident had faded, replaced by a sense of purpose. However, despite the progress, there was still one thing that weighed heavily on her mind: Liam's true intentions. Was he really just a CEO trying to test his employees, or was there something more behind his actions? She found herself pondering this question more often than she cared to admit. Every time she saw Liam, whether in the office or in the hallway, his calm demeanor and unwavering confidence made it hard for her to figure out where she stood. Was she just another member of his team, or did he see something in her that went beyond just her work? One late afternoon, after a particularly grueling brainstorming session, Sarah found herself standing by the window in her office, looking out over the city skyline. The sun was beginning to set, casting a warm orange glow over the buildings. She felt a tap on her shoulder and turned around to see Liam standing there, a slight smile on his face. "Sarah, can we talk?" he asked, his voice gentle. She nodded, unsure of what to expect. They walked to a nearby conference room, away from the prying eyes of the office. Liam motioned for her to sit, and Sarah did, feeling a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. "I wanted to check in with you," Liam began, his tone casual but sincere. "How have you been finding the project so far?" Sarah hesitated for a moment, choosing her words carefully. "It's been challenging, but in a good way," she said. "I've learned a lot, and I feel like I'm growing, but I'm still trying to figure out my place here." Liam nodded, understanding. "I get it," he said. "It can be overwhelming at first, but I believe in your potential, Sarah. That's why I wanted to talk to you about something." Sarah's heart skipped a beat. "What is it?" "I've been watching your progress, and I've been impressed," Liam said, his voice steady. "I think you're ready for something bigger." Sarah frowned, unsure of what he meant. "What do you mean?" Liam leaned forward, his eyes locking with hers. "There's an opportunity coming up that I think you'd be perfect for. It's a leadership role, and I want to offer it to you." Sarah felt a rush of emotions, surprise, excitement, and a bit of nervousness. She had never expected to be considered for such a role so soon, especially given how new she was to the company. "But," she began, her voice trailing off. "I'm not sure if I'm ready for something like that." Liam smiled, a reassuring look in his eyes. "That's exactly why I'm offering it to you. I see the potential in you, Sarah. You've been taking on challenges, you've been learning, and you've been adapting. This role won't be easy, but I believe you have what it takes to succeed." Sarah sat back in her chair, her mind racing. This was the opportunity she had been waiting for, but it also terrified her. Could she really handle the responsibility? Could she live up to the expectations that Liam was placing on her? She had always doubted her abilities, but Liam's faith in her made her wonder. Maybe she was capable of more than she thought. "I don't know," she said quietly. "It's a big step, and I'm still learning the ropes." Liam's expression softened. "I understand, but sometimes you have to take a leap of faith, and I'm here to support you every step of the way. This is your chance to prove not just to the company, but to yourself, what you're capable of." Sarah felt a surge of determination rise within her. This was the moment she had been waiting for, the moment she could either embrace her potential or let it slip away. After a long pause, she took a deep breath and met Liam's gaze. "I'll do it," she said, her voice steady. "I'll take the role." Liam smiled, a proud look in his eyes. "I knew you'd make the right choice." They stood up, and Liam extended his hand to her. Sarah shook it firmly, feeling the weight of the decision settle on her shoulders. As she walked out of the conference room, she couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement mixed with nervousness. This was her chance to prove herself, and for the first time in a long time, she felt ready. But as she stepped into the elevator, she couldn't help but wonder, had this all been part of Liam's plan from the beginning? Had he been grooming her for this moment all along? She didn't know, but one thing was clear. This was just the beginning of something much bigger than she had ever imagined. After accepting the leadership role, Sarah dove into her new responsibilities with determination. Her days were filled with meetings, brainstorming sessions, and hours spent in front of her computer. The challenge was invigorating, but as the weeks passed, she began to feel the weight of the role. There was a lot at stake, and Sarah was determined to prove herself. At first, the pressure was overwhelming. She had been placed in charge of a crucial project that would determine the success of the department, and she didn't want to fail. The team she was working with had more experience than she did, and she often questioned whether she was really cut out for this. But every time she doubted herself, she thought back to the conversation she had had with Liam. He believed in her. He had seen something in her, and that gave her the strength to keep pushing forward. One afternoon, as Sarah was going over the latest project proposal, Liam walked into the office. She looked up, slightly startled, but his presence was calm, as usual. "How's it going?" Liam asked, his voice warm but professional. Sarah smiled, trying to hide the exhaustion she was feeling. "It's going well. A few bumps, but nothing I can't handle." Liam raised an eyebrow, sensing her hesitation. "Are you sure?" he asked, taking a seat across from her. "You've been working nonstop." Sarah took a deep breath, then nodded. "I'm fine. Just a lot to juggle, but I can manage." She didn't want to admit that she was struggling. She didn't want to show weakness, not to him. He had put his trust in her, and she couldn't let him down. Liam studied her for a moment, then spoke again, his tone softening. You know, it's okay to ask for help. You don't have to do everything on your own. Sarah's eyes widened slightly. She had never thought of it that way. I don't want to disappoint you. Liam smiled, his eyes sincere. You're not disappointing anyone. You're doing great. But remember, you're part of a team. You don't have to carry the weight by yourself. Sarah felt a lump form in her throat. His words meant more to her than she could express. She had been so focused on proving herself, on showing that she was capable, that she had forgotten about the importance of teamwork. Thank you, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam nodded, then stood up to leave. I'm here if you need anything, Sarah. Don't hesitate to ask. After Liam left, Sarah sat back in her chair, her mind racing. She realized that she had been so caught up in her own expectations that she had forgotten the most important lesson. Strength doesn't come from doing everything alone. Sometimes, it comes from knowing when to lean on others. With a renewed sense of clarity, Sarah reached out to a few team members for help. She delegated tasks, asked for feedback, and slowly, the project began to fall into place. She wasn't doing it all herself, but the project was still hers to lead. The days that followed were busy, but Sarah felt lighter. She was still learning, still growing, but she no longer felt like she had to carry the weight of the world on her shoulders. And every time she felt overwhelmed, she reminded herself of Liam's words. One evening, after another long day of work, Sarah sat at her desk, reviewing the final draft of the project proposal. Her phone buzzed with a message from Liam. I just wanted to check in. How's everything going? Sarah smiled as she typed her response. It's going great. Thank you for checking in. A few moments later, she received another message. You're doing an amazing job, Sarah. Keep it up. The words made her heart swell with pride. For the first time in a long while, Sarah felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. The following week, Sarah presented the completed proposal to Liam and the rest of the senior leadership team. Her team had worked hard, and the proposal was solid. As she spoke confidently about the details, she saw Liam watching her, a proud smile on his face. When she finished, Liam stood up and gave her a round of applause. Well done, Sarah. This is exactly what I was hoping for. The room echoed with applause, but it was Liam's praise that meant the most to her. She had come a long way since that day in the break room. She had learned to trust herself, trust her team, and trust the process. And with Liam's support, she was beginning to realize that maybe, just maybe, she was capable of far more than she had ever imagined. As the days turned into weeks, Sarah's confidence continued to grow. Her team had successfully completed the project she had been leading, and she could feel the shift in how others saw her. No longer the nervous newcomer, she was now a respected leader. But with success came new challenges. As she navigated her new role, she found herself in situations where decisions were no longer just about her own work, but about guiding others, making choices that would affect the direction of the entire team. The weight of responsibility was heavy, but Sarah was starting to embrace it. One evening, after another long day, Sarah sat at her desk, going over the numbers and reports for the upcoming board meeting. She knew this would be a pivotal moment for her, a test of her leadership in front of the senior team. As she sat there, lost in her thoughts, her phone buzzed on the desk. It was a message from Liam. Just checking in. How are you feeling about the meeting? Sarah stared at the screen for a moment, feeling a mix of nerves and gratitude. Liam's support had been a constant source of strength for her, and knowing he was there, even if just in the background, made everything a little less daunting. She quickly typed back, nervous, but ready. I think the team has done great work, and we're prepared. A few moments later, Liam's response came. You've got this, Sarah. I know you do. You've earned this. Sarah smiled, feeling a surge of warmth. She knew he believed in her, and that belief made all the difference. The next morning, as Sarah entered the conference room, she felt the familiar flutter of nerves in her stomach. This was it. The board meeting where her work would be evaluated, where her leadership would be put to the test. She took a deep breath, reminded herself of everything she had accomplished, and walked in with her head held high. As the meeting progressed, Sarah presented the results of her team's project, highlighting the key achievements and outlining the next steps. The room was quiet, all eyes on her as she spoke. She had prepared for this moment, and she spoke with confidence, even when answering tough questions from the senior team. When the meeting was over, the CEO stood up, a smile on his face. Excellent work, Sarah. Your team has delivered above and beyond. We're excited about the next phase of this project. Sarah felt a rush of pride and relief. It wasn't just the success of the project that mattered. It was how far she had come. She had earned their respect, and more importantly, she had earned her own. Later that day, as she walked back to her office, Sarah was met by Liam. He was leaning against the doorframe, his arms crossed, watching her with a proud smile. Well? He asked, raising an eyebrow. It went well, she said, her voice full of satisfaction. I think I finally got the hang of this leadership thing. Liam's smile grew wider. I never doubted you for a second. His words made Sarah's heart swell. For so long, she had doubted herself, unsure if she could handle the pressure. But now, with Liam's support and the trust of her team, she was starting to believe in her own abilities. As they stood there, in the quiet of the office, Sarah realized how much she had changed in such a short time. She had gone from being the nervous newcomer to a leader others looked up to. She still had much to learn, but she no longer feared the challenges that lay ahead. She was ready for whatever came next. The next few weeks were filled with even more growth. Sarah took on more responsibilities, leading new initiatives, and gaining the confidence of not only her team, but the entire company. She had truly become a part of the leadership, and the recognition from her peers felt just as rewarding as any promotion or title. But it wasn't just about the accolades or the title. For Sarah, the most important change was the way she saw herself. She had learned to trust her instincts, to embrace the challenges, and to lead with confidence. And most of all, she had learned that leadership wasn't about being perfect. It was about growth, resilience, and the willingness to keep going, even when things didn't go as planned. One evening, after a particularly successful project launch, Liam invited Sarah to dinner to celebrate. As they sat in a cozy restaurant, surrounded by the soft glow of candlelight, Liam raised his glass. To the leader you've become, Sarah, he said, his voice filled with warmth. Sarah smiled, feeling the weight of his words. She had come a long way, and though there was still so much ahead of her, she knew one thing for certain. She was no longer just the girl who had walked into the wrong break room. She was Sarah, the leader who had found her place and was ready to take on whatever came next. Months passed, and Sarah continued to prove herself as a capable leader, but despite her progress, something was starting to feel off. She had gained the respect of her team, earned her place in the company, and built meaningful relationships. Yet, there was a growing unease that she couldn't shake. It wasn't about the work, it was about Liam. While he had always been supportive, something in their interactions had changed. Their relationship, which had started off as professional mentorship, had gradually become something more. It wasn't just the occasional praise or the late-night check-ins anymore. There was a familiarity between them that felt different, something more personal, something she hadn't expected. Sarah tried to push the feeling aside, telling herself it was just her imagination. After all, Liam had been there for her when she needed support, and he had always maintained a professional distance. But the small moments lingered. The way he looked at her across the room during meetings, or how he would sometimes ask about her day in a way that felt less like a colleague and more like someone who genuinely cared. One evening, as Sarah wrapped up another long day, she found herself in the office alone, organizing her notes for an upcoming presentation. She had been so focused on work that she didn't hear the door open. Need a hand? Liam's voice broke the silence, and Sarah looked up, startled. I didn't realize you were still here, she said, a hint of surprise in her voice. Liam smiled softly, stepping into the room. I was just finishing up some things. I thought I'd check in. He glanced at her work, his eyes scanning the papers spread out on her desk. Looks like you're going above and beyond, as usual, he said, his tone light but warm. Sarah smiled, feeling a rush of gratitude for his support. Just trying to get everything perfect, she replied. You know how it is. Liam nodded, but there was something in his expression that made her pause. You've been working really hard, Sarah, he said, his voice quieter now. You don't have to do it all by yourself. Sarah looked down at the papers in front of her, the weight of his words sinking in. She had been pushing herself so hard to prove that she was capable, to show everyone that she could handle the pressure. But in doing so, she had forgotten the most important thing. She didn't have to do it all alone. Liam stepped closer, his presence comforting yet a little overwhelming. I know you want to succeed, he said softly. But you don't have to sacrifice yourself for it. Success comes from balance, from knowing when to ask for help and when to take a step back. Sarah felt a knot form in her throat. His words hit her harder than she expected. She had always been the one to shoulder the burden, to keep pushing through no matter the cost. But she realized now that perhaps she had been going about it all wrong. Maybe she didn't have to be so independent all the time. Maybe it was okay to lean on others. And maybe, just maybe, it was okay to lean on Liam. I don't know how to stop, Sarah admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. I feel like if I stop, everything will fall apart. Liam's expression softened, and he placed a hand on her shoulder. You don't have to do it all at once, he said gently. Step by step. You're doing amazing, Sarah. Don't lose sight of that. There was a long silence between them, a moment that felt heavier than it should have. Sarah could feel the shift, the change in the air between them. It was as if, for the first time, the professional distance that had once existed was starting to blur. She wanted to say something, but she wasn't sure what. The emotions swirling in her chest, gratitude, admiration, something deeper, were too much to put into words. Thank you, she said finally, her voice soft. I don't think I could have gotten this far without you. Liam smiled, his eyes meeting hers. You've always had it in you, Sarah. You just needed to believe it. As they stood there, in the quiet office, Sarah felt a sense of clarity she hadn't experienced in a long time. She had been so focused on doing everything right, on proving herself, that she had forgotten to take a moment for herself. And in that moment, standing next to Liam, she realized something else. She didn't have to prove anything anymore. She was already enough. The next few days were a blur of work, but something had shifted in Sarah. She felt lighter, more focused, and most importantly, more connected to those around her. The burden she had been carrying for so long no longer felt as heavy. And when the project finally reached its successful conclusion, it wasn't just a victory for her team, it was a personal victory. Sarah had learned the true meaning of balance, and for the first time, she realized that she didn't have to carry the weight of success alone. That evening, after the project had been celebrated, Sarah stood by the window in her office, looking out at the city below. She felt a hand on her shoulder, and when she turned around, she saw Liam standing there. You did it, he said, his voice filled with pride. Sarah smiled, her heart swelling with appreciation. We did it, she corrected him. Liam's smile widened. You're right. We did. As they stood there together, in that moment, Sarah knew that whatever came next, she was ready. Not because she had all the answers, but because she had learned to trust herself and the people around her. And that, she realized, was the true measure of success. As the weeks went by, Sarah's confidence continued to grow, and so did her relationship with Liam. They had become more than just colleagues. They had developed a bond built on mutual respect and understanding. But despite the closeness they had started to share, there was a lingering tension that neither of them had addressed. Sarah couldn't help but notice the subtle ways Liam would look at her during meetings, the way his voice would soften when he spoke to her, as if he were trying to communicate something unspoken. It wasn't like the way he interacted with the rest of the team. It was different, more personal, and Sarah couldn't ignore it anymore. She had always prided herself on being professional, but lately, she found herself wondering if there was more to their relationship than just work. The idea of it was both exciting and terrifying. She wasn't sure how to navigate these feelings, but they were there, lingering in the back of her mind. One evening, after a successful meeting with a potential client, Sarah and Liam found themselves walking back to the office together. The night air was cool, and the city lights twinkled in the distance, casting a soft glow on the streets below. The silence between them was comfortable, but it felt heavier than usual. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to change. As they reached the entrance to the building, Liam stopped and turned to face her. Sarah, I've been meaning to talk to you about something, he said, his tone serious yet gentle. Sarah's heart skipped a beat. Was this it? Was he finally going to address the tension between them? What's on your mind? She asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Liam took a deep breath, as if choosing his words carefully. I know we've been working closely together, and I want you to know that I've been really impressed by your work. But there's something else I need to tell you, something I haven't been able to say until now. Sarah felt a knot tighten in her stomach. She wasn't sure what he was about to say, but she knew it was important. What is it? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam looked at her, his expression softening. I can't pretend anymore. I've been trying to keep things professional, but the truth is, I care about you, Sarah. More than just as a colleague. I've been feeling this way for a while, and I think it's time I told you. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. This wasn't what she had expected. She had always known there was a connection between them, but hearing Liam admit his feelings left her speechless. For a moment, all she could do was stare at him, trying to process what he had just said. I didn't want to make things awkward, Liam continued, his voice tinged with uncertainty. But I couldn't keep ignoring how I feel. I don't expect anything from you. I just needed to be honest. Sarah felt her heart race, her emotions a whirlwind of confusion, excitement, and fear. She had never imagined that Liam, her mentor, her boss, felt the same way about her. But now that he had said it, the weight of his words hung in the air between them. She took a deep breath, trying to calm herself. Liam, she didn't know what to say. Her mind was racing, and she needed time to think. I wasn't expecting this, she said finally, her voice trembling slightly. I've been focused so much on work, I haven't really thought about anything else. But this is a lot to process. Liam nodded, understanding. I get it. I didn't mean to overwhelm you. I just wanted to be honest with you, because you deserve that. They stood in silence for a moment, the only sound the hum of the city around them. Sarah could feel the weight of the decision pressing on her, but she also knew that this moment, this conversation, was going to change everything. She had spent so long focused on proving herself in the professional world, but now, she was faced with something personal, something that felt much more vulnerable. I don't know what this means yet, Sarah said, her voice steadying as she spoke. But I appreciate you being honest with me. And I think I need some time to figure this out. Liam smiled softly, the tension in his expression easing. Take all the time you need, Sarah. I just wanted you to know how I feel. And whatever happens, I'm still here to support you. Sarah nodded, feeling a sense of relief wash over her. For the first time in a long while, she felt like she had a choice, not just in her career, but in her personal life as well. As she walked back into the building, her heart was heavy with the weight of the decision ahead, but she felt a sense of clarity that she hadn't had before. She knew she wasn't ready to make any decisions yet, but she also knew that whatever happened, it wouldn't change who she had become, someone strong, capable, and ready to face whatever came next. In the days that followed, Sarah continued to focus on her work, but her thoughts often wandered back to Liam's confession. She found herself replaying their conversation in her mind, trying to make sense of it all. She wasn't sure what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, she felt like she was in control of her own life. Whatever decision she made, she knew it would be the right one for her. In the days that followed their conversation, Sarah found herself caught in a whirlwind of emotions. She had spent so much time focused on her professional growth, pushing herself to new heights, that she had never allowed herself the luxury of thinking about her personal life, especially in relation to Liam. But now, with his confession hanging in the air between them, things felt more complicated. The clarity she had felt the moment she walked into the building after their talk started to fade, replaced by doubt and uncertainty. She wasn't sure how to move forward. On the one hand, Liam had been there for her in ways that no one else had, offering guidance and support when she needed it most. He had seen her potential long before she had seen it in herself. But on the other hand, their professional relationship had been the foundation of everything. She had worked hard to earn his respect, and now that respect was intertwined with something else, something personal. Could she separate the two? Was it even possible? One evening, Sarah decided to meet with her closest friend, Kate, to talk things through. Kate had been with her through thick and thin, and Sarah knew that she could count on her to offer perspective. As they sat at their favorite coffee shop, Sarah found herself pouring out her feelings. I don't know what to do, Kate, she said, her voice tinged with frustration. Everything has changed. I never expected things to get so complicated with Liam. He's my boss, and we've been working so closely together. And now, all of a sudden, there's this other dynamic. Kate listened carefully, sipping her coffee, before offering a calm response. You've been handling a lot, Sarah, she said, her tone gentle. And it's natural to be confused. But let me ask you this. How do you feel about him? Not as your boss, but as Liam, the person? Sarah paused, reflecting on the question. The answer wasn't as simple as she wanted it to be. I care about him, she said slowly. I can't deny that. But I also value the professional relationship we have. I don't want to mess that up. Kate gave her a knowing look. You're afraid of losing control, of losing everything you've worked for, she said. But here's the thing, Sarah, you're not the same person you were when you first started at that company. You've grown so much, and you've learned how to navigate challenges. Trust yourself. Sarah felt a surge of relief, but also a nagging feeling that she wasn't quite ready to take that leap. She had worked so hard to prove herself, to show everyone that she was capable, and the last thing she wanted was to risk everything for a relationship that might complicate her career. What if I'm not ready? She asked softly, her gaze fixed on her coffee cup. What if I can't handle both? What if it ruins everything? Kate reached across the table, placing her hand over Sarah's. You don't have to have all the answers right now, she said. But you do need to listen to your heart. What does it tell you? Sarah looked down at her hands, her mind racing. She didn't have all the answers, but she knew one thing for sure. Liam was a part of her journey now, and whether she liked it or not, their paths were intertwined. After their conversation, Sarah took the next few days to reflect. She continued working hard, focusing on the tasks at hand, but there was always a part of her mind that returned to Liam. She couldn't ignore the connection they shared, nor could she forget how much he had supported her. But still, there was a question that loomed over her. How could she keep her professional life intact while navigating the emotions that came with Liam's confession? One evening, Sarah made a decision. She couldn't keep avoiding the conversation any longer. She needed to talk to Liam, to clear the air and figure out where they stood. She wasn't ready to make any promises, but she also didn't want to let this opportunity slip away without understanding what it meant for both of them. The next morning, Sarah sent Liam a message, asking if they could meet for lunch. She didn't give him any specifics, just that she wanted to talk. When they sat down in the cafe, there was a quiet tension between them, but also a sense of understanding. Liam looked at her with those familiar, intense eyes, waiting for her to speak. Liam, I've been thinking a lot about what you said, Sarah began, her voice steady but nervous. And I need to be honest with you. I care about you, and I respect everything we've built together. But I also don't want to lose sight of what's important, our work, our goals. Liam nodded, his expression softening. I understand, he said quietly. I don't want to complicate things either, but I couldn't keep pretending that my feelings for you were just professional. Sarah smiled, grateful for his honesty. I'm not sure what comes next, she said, taking a deep breath. But I do know that I'm not ready to make any decisions yet. I need time to process everything and figure out what I really want. Liam reached across the table, placing his hand over hers. Take all the time you need, Sarah. I'm not going anywhere. In that moment, Sarah felt a weight lift from her shoulders. She didn't have to have all the answers right now. She had time, and she could trust herself to make the right choice when the time came. She wasn't ready to define their relationship yet, but she was ready to take it one step at a time. Weeks passed, and as Sarah continued to work diligently, a sense of peace began to settle over her. She had given herself the time and space she needed to think things through, and it became clear to her that the decision wasn't about choosing between her career and her feelings for Liam. It was about finding balance. It wasn't easy, and it certainly wasn't quick, but Sarah realized that she could have both, a successful career and a meaningful relationship, as long as she stayed true to herself and maintained the boundaries that were important to her. Liam had been patient with her, giving her the time she needed without pushing, and that made all the difference. It was clear to Sarah that he respected her independence, but he also cared for her in a way that went beyond professional mentorship. After much thought, Sarah felt ready to address the situation once and for all. One afternoon, as the sun began to set, casting a warm golden light over the city, she reached out to Liam, asking if they could meet after work. He agreed, and they decided to meet at a quiet cafe, away from the buzz of the office. When Sarah arrived, Liam was already there, waiting with a casual smile that made her feel both nervous and excited. As she sat down, the usual tension was absent, replaced by a calm understanding between them. Sarah, Liam began, his voice gentle. I'm glad we're meeting. I've been thinking a lot about everything, too. Sarah nodded, her heart beating in her chest. I've had some time to think, she said, her voice steady but soft. And I've realized something important. Liam's gaze was fixed on her, and for a moment, there was complete silence between them, the world outside the cafe continuing as usual while they sat. lost in this moment of clarity. "What is it?" he asked, his tone filled with genuine curiosity. Sarah took a deep breath. "I've realized that I don't have to choose between my career and my personal life. I don't have to put limits on myself or deny what I'm feeling." She paused, looking at Liam. "I care about you, Liam, and I'm ready to explore that. But I also want to make sure that my career continues to thrive. I don't want to lose sight of what's important to me, both professionally and personally." Liam smiled, his expression softening. "I respect that, Sarah. I've always admired your ability to stay true to yourself, and I think that's what makes you such a great leader. I want you to have both, too. A successful career and a fulfilling personal life." Sarah felt a wave of relief wash over her. It wasn't easy, but she knew in that moment that she had made the right decision. She didn't have to sacrifice one for the other. The future wasn't clear-cut, but she felt confident that with Liam by her side, they could navigate it together. "I think we can make this work," she said, her voice filled with determination. "And I want to give this a chance, without any pressure. Just one step at a time." Liam reached across the table and gently took her hand. "One step at a time," he agreed, his voice warm and reassuring. They sat in silence for a few moments, just enjoying each other's company, knowing that things had shifted, but in a way that felt right. From that moment on, Sarah approached both her work and her relationship with a renewed sense of purpose. She wasn't afraid to take risks anymore, but she also knew how to set boundaries and prioritize what truly mattered. As for Liam, their professional dynamic remained as strong as ever. If anything, they worked even better together, supporting each other in ways they hadn't before. In the months that followed, Sarah's career continued to soar. She was promoted once again, taking on even more leadership responsibilities, and her team's successes only solidified her place in the company. But even as she achieved new heights professionally, she never lost sight of the balance she had found. With Liam's support, Sarah learned to navigate the complexities of both her personal and professional life, finding harmony between the two. The future was uncertain, as it always is, but Sarah no longer feared the unknown. She had built the confidence to face whatever challenges came her way, knowing that she could trust herself and the people around her. And when she looked back on everything, the missteps, the struggles, and the moments of doubt, she realized that it had all led her to this point. The woman she had become, the leader she was now, was not just shaped by her achievements, but by the choices she had made along the way. She had learned that success was not just about the accolades or the title, but about finding peace within herself and embracing the people who truly mattered. Sarah had found the balance she had been searching for, and she knew that no matter what came next, she was ready for it. In this compelling tale of self-discovery and professional growth, Sarah navigates the challenges of a demanding career while facing unexpected twists in her personal life. As she rises through the ranks at her company, Sarah must balance her ambition and her feelings for someone she least expected, her CEO. As she wrestles with her feelings for him, Sarah finds herself questioning what truly matters in both her career and personal life. This story of ambition, love, and self-realization captures the essence of what it means to find balance in an ever-changing world. With moments of doubt and breakthrough, Sarah's journey shows the importance of trusting oneself, while also learning the value of personal connections. If you enjoy millionaire stories that combine career struggles, personal growth, and unexpected romantic connections, this one will resonate with you. As Sarah navigates the complexities of her role and her emotions, she learns that success isn't just about achievements. It's about balance and finding support in those who truly understand you. Like many millionaire stories, Sarah's journey isn't just about professional success, but also about the relationships that shape us. With each step, she discovers how to integrate love and career, creating a path that is uniquely her own. If you've ever wondered how to overcome the hurdles of professional life while staying true to your heart, these millionaire stories offer a glimpse into the delicate art of balancing ambition and love. The characters in these stories show that achieving both personal and professional success is not only possible, but also deeply rewarding.